It's morphin' time! Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome back to Model Kit Monday. It certainly has been a while. Didn't mean to take this much of a hiatus, and I've certainly not had a lack of model kits to build, but boy oh boy is my backlog getting big, and I just didn't know how to keep current. However, I decided that this was the time to bring the series back, specifically because we have the real grade Mobile Suit Gundam Last Shooting Zeong effects set. Now this is a special kit that includes the real grade 34 MSN02 Zeong, as well as effect parts for the Zeong and a diorama display for the Last Shooting effect. Now this is a kit that I got a little earlier than most. And the reason why was because I happened to win a contest that was put on by Bandai Hobby US on their new Instagram page. So if you're looking for official Gunpla info, that's probably the best place to do it, as they are run by Bluefin Brands who distribute everything. So if you want to follow them on Instagram, I'll leave a link below. Super grateful for this contest. And I wanted to kind of record and capture when I got the box in the mail. So let's cut over to that now. So we're taking a look at what's in the box today, and I wanted to do an unboxing segment because it's kind of special. This is not a sponsored video, plain and simple, just saying that. This is actually a prize I won from a Bandai Hobby US contest. They launched their Instagram page, did a contest, I just entered it like I usually do. I never usually win contests, but I actually got picked for this one, and I'm really stoked to have this kit. This is something I was really looking forward to. So thank you to the people at Bandai Hobby and Bluefin for running the contest. But yeah, this was not a sponsored video. I'm just making a video because this is what I do and stuff I get. So we're gonna crack this open here. That really nice and sturdy Bluefin Brands Bandai Namco tape. Also, kids, don't cut towards yourself like me. Cut away. Don't do as I do as I slightly advise. That being said, we are in the box. Also, always close your knife. It's a handy thing. Let's see. Oh, this is one of those like, oh, we had to take a large box and crack it down. So we got here some paper and some paper. That is a lot less paper than I thought there'd be. Here it is. So, of course, you saw the title of the video. This is the real grade Zeong Last Shooting Zeong's effects set. I'm too overwhelmed to even think of the name. I know exactly what this is called. So here's the box for the real grade Mobile Suit Gundam Last Shooting Zeong effects set. It does include a Zeong. It doesn't sound like it when you read the title, but it does include a full Zeong. It does not include an RX-78-2. It does say down here. This package does not include real grade 1:144 RX-78-2 Gundam sold separately. So it still has the 1:144 scale real grade Zeong, but not the Gundam, which kind of makes some sense. This kit's already kind of expensive to begin with, so throwing in a Gundam would also probably make it like 130 when it's 104. So it's already up there, and so I think they were like, well, this is a very well sold kit. That being said, I don't have one of those. I was thinking about getting one, but yeah, I didn't get it yet. So we'll just kind of do the diorama part a different way. But anyways, kind of seeing the box. It doesn't have the standard real grade number designation because it is a special set, so it doesn't have the 34 on it, which is the Zeong's number. Down here you can see this is kind of highlighting the effect parts more than anything, the diorama parts. There's a layout of all the stuff it comes with that the normal Zeong doesn't. So if you're wondering where the extra price went, right there. And then coming around to the back, it's got another shot of the Zeong. It's got the features of the Zeong. I'll let you pause that and read it if you want. But we'll be going over all that and all the legal stuff. So hooray, legal stuff. But yeah, let's get to it. I opted to forego an unboxing just for the sake of time, but we do have contents. So we got a decal sheet, the instruction book for the Zeong itself, as well as an instruction sheet for the Last Shooting effects specifically. Then running over the runners, we got A, B, C, D1, D2, E, there's F, 2 of G, 2 of H, I1 and I2, I2 being a half runner. We got J times 2, K, L1, L2, BA14, which stands for the arms, a couple different wires, as well as action base 5 parts with 3 action bases. For the last shooting set, XA1 and XA2, XB1 and XB2 are brand new. CSB 1A and 1B are from 30-minute missions. J and I are from the figurized jet effects. And SB6 is a standard beam saber type. So before we take a deep dive into the real grade Zeong, I wanted to show it without any of its real type decals. So the only decal on this is the one for the mono eye in the head, which we'll get into how cool this head is in a bit. But I just want to show you what level of detail you'd have without any panel lining, without any sticker detail, just straight. You built it, you're done, you use the one sticker for the mono eye. This is essentially what it would look like, and it still looks really, really impressive. So here's the Zeong decked out with the real type decals. Now this is something that I do on my real grades personally. I don't actually do it on my master grades, ironically enough, all that often, but I do it with all the real grades. I think it just gives an extra level of detail. And they're not water slides, they're just standard decals. But it looks pretty nice to me, though personal preferences are always a thing in Gunpla, and that is the genius of this line. So first things first, I'm going to switch in some extra parts. Before we take a look down here, these panels come off between the thrusters. If I can get those off on camera, that'd be cool. Yeah, so we pull these out, and we pull this front part out, and we can actually add these little stand pieces. I'm going to do these off camera because they're kind of a pain, but essentially these just plug in, and then it helps elevate this kind of on landing gear. So there we go. Now we won't have the thrusters scratching on the ground there, but it's just a little bit elevated. Looks really nice. So just in case you don't want the whole thing up on an action base, you get kind of a, well, it's not quite flying position, which I think is awesome. But yeah, let's take a look at this thing. So up front, let's look at the head. The little mouthpiece for the Mega Beam Cannon, I dropped it within like the first 5 minutes of building the kit. So I recommend being incredibly careful with that little gray piece because it's tiny. It's really tiny. And also, did you notice when I turn the head, the mono eye moves? It is like one of the coolest things. It's so simple. It's so simple. It's just like, you know, 5 parts because it's a real grade and those things are nuts. But it's so cool. And then on top of that, if you wanted to move the mono eye up, you can actually, it's designed that you can remove this part, and then you can actually position the eye upward or downward. So you have options, but it does kind of just require you to basically crunch it down anyways. But it's just cool that it turns, and then it looks at you, kind of menacingly. But yeah, like even on the back, we've got, this is the cockpit hatch. I'm going to get this open with some tweezers here, because this thing is tiny. Actually, probably can I just, yeah, I can just grab it. It's a little tiny cockpit. This is where a little 1/144 scale Char Aznavour would jump into this thing. Ironically enough, the kit doesn't actually include a 1/144 scale Char Aznavour. I guess because they already made a couple of those with previous real grades, but it seems like a weird exclusion when most other real grades have pilot figures. On the back here, you can see we got some nice detail, a lot of great panel separation, pretty impressive stuff. I like the Zeong logo just on his rear here. But yeah, really nice panel work, and the fact that this is all, I didn't do any panel lining, but it looks really nice as is, and that's something that I love about real grades. Look at the arms here. The fingers are actually a pre-built part. So there's no other part of his frame is pre-built, just the fingers. And they articulate pretty well. But I'm liking that these are pre-built because that would have been a pain in the butt to try to assemble. And they're a lot sturdier this way too. You can see on the chest here, we've got, you know, Zeon emblems. We've got different things. This compartment is the one that's a little tricky. I kind of have to get into it. Okay, so once you get it open, it has to pull out and pull down. But that is the other cockpit entry. There's the one in the back of the head, and then there's the one here. Why it has two, I'm not entirely certain, but there you go. And then I love the use of purple. There's not much purple on the kit. It's pretty much just those two parts and a couple other things here and there. So I do like the actual proper color separation. And of course, there's some nice shiny stickers for silver and bronze colors. And then on the bottom, everything is plastic. There are no decals down here, but all these thrusters are separate plastic pieces, and you can see all kinds of cool stuff. Now, there's something I wanted to point out with these thrusters, and if you can kind of see it, they're on a sliding hip joint mechanism. It's a very similar to most real grade hip joints where they can slide forward. And this piece sort of locks it in, so if you pull this out, you can adjust these forward. And then these panels also move up and out of the way, so you can have like forward-facing front thrusters if you're putting them in like a retreat position. But yeah, it actually does have a hip joint, like a standard real grade hip joint. I wonder if anything will ever make that happen. That was my very thinly veiled way of saying Premium Bandai is probably putting out a set of legs for this guy. But yeah, for those that don't know, in case you've been going through this whole video wondering why the heck does this thing not have legs, it was designed for space combat, and according to the designer, the legs were just for show, so they scrapped them to make it lightweight so it can fly. Which, yeah, I mean, in canon, this thing is quite an impressive beast without legs. So we're going to roll through the articulation in real time so you can get an idea of how these joints move and work. So first things first, the head is on a lateral left and right movement with that turning head gimmick, can pivot forward and back, and then the whole head assembly tilts forward and back. I'm going to remove the head for the rest of the segment simply because I don't want those antennae breaking. So then going to the shoulders do rotate a full 360. Little tight, something to be wary of, especially in the future, that you may need to use some shock oil in some of these joints. The actual shoulder pads move in two places, so they move here and here to kind of get out of the way. Shoulders move out, they move forward, of course, bicep swivel. Then we got a double jointed elbow, which is pretty good considering how big and chunky this part is. And then on the wrist, it's on a ball joint as well as a pivot inward and outward. And then every finger is articulated with a ball joint at the bottom and then two swivels at the joints here. Or three swivels, actually. So 1, 2, 3. So they can get really, really articulated. And I do like that this hand can go all the way back like that, and then the fingers can come forward, which is pretty cool. So there is that. Of course, the arms detach, but we'll get into that when we get to that. Torso-wise, it can crunch forward about that far, which is like a farther than I ever expected this thing to go. And these actual thruster pieces, if you notice, when you move forward, they actually flare out, which is pretty cool. They have enough of a peg if you wanted to add a jet effect to it, you probably could, even though it wouldn't really have much clearance. And then same thing if you go forward enough, those kind of pop forward. And yeah, this thing actually goes all the way that far back. So it's really impressive, the range of movement on this thing. And then it's got a little bit of side to side. And then we're going to detach this part. So it's actually kind of easy to pull the thing apart. It's got the head, the arms, and then this point here. And yeah, and then here we've got this panel, which I think just flips up a little bit so that thruster can move out. These panels are pretty much just pop out like that. So you can move these thrusters out. And this really helps when you start adding effect parts to it because you need some more clearance. So you got those that can flare out, and then also, like I showed before, we'll go over it again, these pop up and rotate out, and then you can push these forward like so, like that far forward even if you want, which is pretty cool. And then, yeah, and then on top of that, yeah, you got this sliding mechanism if you need those joints to move forward, but I kind of find that's sort of pointless when you can just rotate them forward. So yeah, you got plenty of clearance for all these. These also rotate, so if you wanted them slightly different positions, they're all positionable. When I was putting this thing back together, I didn't even realize these also move out. So if you want the jets going that way, you have that option, and that's on both sides. So that, every single part of the skirt pulls out of the way of the thrusters if you so wish. That's just nuts. I can't get over how cool. That's just so cool that it just splits apart that much. Insane. So for those Zeong loving experts out there, you're probably wondering, what if I want the arms to detach and fly around and shoot things? Well, with the base kit, you can't have it shoot anything, but you can have them fly around. So the arms do detach. You just give them a little tug here. And they do, of course, like I said, articulate out, which is pretty cool. And if you extend them like this, there's a little port on all sides of it that plug into this base adapter, which comes with these little base stands. And what's kind of neat with these is that they're little stands. They stand up like this. You can have them crunch down like that. Not necessarily the most sturdy thing in the world. It's pretty much kind of... It's not great is what I'm saying on its own. If you want to do this, you have that option. It's a lot sturdier. So you do that, and then you're probably like, oh, what about the wires? So it comes with 2 wires. So you got that. So you got that arm. There's another stand for the other arm, and there is a wire. And then you're probably wondering, well, this looks weird with it just sitting on the ground shooting an arm out. What if I want it elevated? First thing first, you got to turn the Zeong over, grab the base adapter it comes with, and plug that on right there. And then you can bring in the Action Base 5 times 3. Plug this on here, which will just slide in nice and neat because I'm on camera. Thank you, actually. I was expecting that to fail. It looks pretty cool. I like the wire. Again, probably want to cut that down. It's really big. But I like that it comes with all this. So out of the box, your maximum potential with stands and arms and stuff is this. This is the basic Zeong, and this concludes this part of the video. And, well, gotta say, I'm really glad they made an effect parts set that's bundled in with it, though I do wish it was separate for those that wanted it to buy it separately. Because, yeah, I love the kit, incredibly detailed, but boy, when it's just this, it's a little bit, well, it's just kind of standard. So you might be asking yourself, how big is the real grade Zeong? Well, let me tell you. So firstly, here it is next to the Origin Type 1:144 scale Gundam, as well as the Origin Type 1:144 scale Sharzaku. So you can see he's not super tall, but he's really big and bulky, which is pretty cool. We also have the option of swapping out the Origin for the Revive there, so you can see how the Revive looks. And we'll swap out Char over here for the basic promotional Gundam I got at a building event. And then we'll swap the Revive for the new entry grade. So next you're probably wondering, well, how does it look with other real grades? Well, here's the Tall Geese 3, which is kind of a smaller sized real grade. And here's the Sazabi, which is a much larger size. But let's put it next to some other things so we get a better idea of how big it is. So, Master Grade Barbatos First Form, Gundam Universe Gundam, High Grade Psycho Gundam, SD Musha Gundam, Hello Kitty Gundam, Haro Man, the F90's Stupid Rocket Pack, Converged Sazabi, Gundam Logo Standee, a Gundam Girls Generation statue, a Gundam Guys Generation statue, Multi-Box Haro, the Age Device, the Gundam 40th album, Fire Dagwan, Mazinger Z, Ultraman Z, He-Man, Hellboy, DJ Rex, an avocado, an apple, and as you can see, he's shaped almost just like a potato. I think these comparisons got off the rails. The true answer is just under 6 inches, which also isn't the true answer because it's not the metric system that most of the world uses. So yeah, that's how big the Zeong is. So the first part of the last shooting effects set, which is probably the last time I'll say the whole name of it, I'll just go with effects set from here on out, is the beams and the blast effects for the hands. So the Zeong is known for having beam fingers and for kind of doing a rocket punch. I know Tomino probably just screamed into the distance for no reason by me saying that one of his mobile suits did a rocket punch. But anyways, this is kind of extra stuff. So these are bracers for the hands, which definitely help. There is 10 beams and then these 2 pieces. So these are kind of standard beam sabers, like the short ones. I've seen them in other kits. They're definitely not brand new, but these pieces and these pieces are specific to this effect part set. But how do they look on the Zeong? So we're going to demonstrate everything just on one hand of the Zeong. So you can see here there's a couple pegs in the palm which match up with, or a couple holes for the pegs, and then this just kind of lines up. Essentially what this does is it allows the fingers to get stopped. Without this, the fingers can go into a fist position, which kind of essentially would be problematic when you're starting to put heavy plastic on the end. So this is really just kind of a bracer piece, just in case, so the fingers don't like to droop. And then you can just attach each of these beams into the hand. They just plug in right, simple and easy into each fingertip. So that is pretty nice. I gotta say that it's simple, it's easy, and it's also a universal peg size for the most part. So if you want to put other color effects in here, you have that option. But yeah, I'm being a little careful because you don't want to like snap the pegs off of one of these while sticking it in, because then that way, then you won't be able to reuse it. So you got that, you can have it splayed out, you can have them all together, you know, they're articulated fingers still, so you have that option. So it looks like he's got like crazy long nails, but yeah, it's like a beam effect from Doom. Yeah, so you got that pretty much going on. And then yeah, for the little jet effect off the back, you can plug that on. Now it won't fit, yeah, I actually haven't tried it, but it probably won't fit if you put this on the arm, and it also won't make any sense. But I'm going to try it anyways. And yeah, so you got kind of like, this is all the effects for the hands. As you can see, looks really nice over here with the beam effects and that. And yes, the effect does fit on the arm with the careful positioning, so if you wanted to make sure that the Zeong looked like Mazinger Z and make Tomino come after you for harassment, there you go. The next set of effects are thrusters for the thrusters. These are the figurized standard yellow jet effects. I purchased a bunch of these for my new Gundam, so they still have the pegs and everything. They don't come with all the pieces that the jet effects come with, but they do come with the adapter parts in 2 different styles, as well as there's a total of 6 in the box, even though you only need 5, which is pretty cool, because those come on runners of 3. But these just plug into the back thrusters like this, so they just kind of go in. They're pretty simple to put in. I really like these effects a lot. I'm trying to find more uses. I might use that extra one from this kit for the Sazabi maybe. And then these effects are specific to the effects set because they fit pretty much only that. Only that's going to need that much thrust. And yeah, and then check this out. If you do this just right, boom, the Zeong has legs. Look at that, you know. It always had legs. What are you talking about? I don't think Tomino was like, no, it doesn't need legs because it's symbology of humanity being stripped away from machines. And I'm like, nah, it's got crab legs. It's cute. Hang on a moment. Sorry about that, folks. That was the lawyers of Gundam creator Yoshiyuki Tomino telling me I'm having too much fun with the murder death machine that was designed to kill all the humans. Or something like that. I don't necessarily speak Japanese. I just watch a lot of stuff subtitled. Anyways, here it is on a base, elevated, as it should be, because it's propulsion and not crab legs. It has to fit the canon of it being a gritty war drama, not a super robot series, even though it kinda is. The next set of effects are for the Zeong's head exclusively. This head can fly around as its own little thing. That's why the cockpit's in the head as opposed to the chest, as most mobile suits of the one-year war. And yeah, it can be kind of a little scary, even a little demon. And because of that, we got a couple of jet effects here, which plug on here, and plug on here. And this is the point where I'll mention that there's a little bit of articulation I didn't cover before, called these move forward, so it can be flying backwards. Or they can move this way, so it can be flying forwards and ready to just, you know, murder stuff. It's really crazy. So then we have this peg, which goes into the head socket. Then we have this peg, which goes on this stand port, like that. And then this peg, which goes on this stand port. And then that peg goes into this peg. And oh my gosh, was that 6 pieces just to put this thing on a stand? Real grades, man. Real grades. So what we're going to do here is actually break the rules, because Gunpla is freedom, and then just plug it like this. Because that is a whole lot simpler. We then want to attach this plug here. And we can attach this little mouth beam. I don't know if it's called a mouth beam. I think it's a mega particle cannon. I don't remember. I've been filming this video too long. And the idea here is that you can essentially have this, line it up, and then it goes pew-pew as it shoots out its little mega beam. And if that is just not dramatic enough for you, you also have this option, which is totally for the other part of the set, but I'm doing it here. And it can fire at long range. So here's all the parts for the last shooting diorama. You will need one of the action bases from the Zeong, as well as, of course, the Zeong's head and that little adapter. And then you're also going to need a Gundam. Now, I don't have the real grade RX-78-2, like I mentioned, but I do have the entry grade, which, by the way, if you want a $7 kit that is insanely good and can be built in like a half hour, here it is. I thought about using the Revive and the Origin one, but then I just grabbed this because this is what I just built, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'll just throw that in, and actually it works. So pretty much any 1:144 scale RX-78 is probably going to do the job here. There are parts included for an extra hand. I don't know why you need a beam rifle hand for a kit that should have had that already, but, well, early real grade syndrome. There is a destroyed neck joint and a destroyed shoulder joint part, which will only fit the real grade, from what I can tell. So that is cool, because that makes it a lot more accurate, and I appreciate the attention to detail. But we're tossing those down there for now. You also have two options for Gundam beams. So this one, of course, is the last shooting part itself, and this can come off. So this is if you want just a straight shot all the way up to the ceiling, like that. But if you want to do a little bit more dramatic, which is what I'm doing, you plug in this, which has a little explosion tied to it. So that's pretty cool. The actual panels here, which are very hanger-like, I'm probably going to use these for something else, actually. These are 30-minute missions diorama pieces that they repurposed for this, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, so this all plugs together, and this is involved, and the head's involved, and I don't want to show it on camera. It takes a while to set it up, so what I'm going to do is cut away and come back to it. And there it is, a recreation of the final shot, the last shooting, that destroyed both the Zeong and the Gundam at the end of the 1 Year War. And this is such an iconic shot in animation for Mecha as well as Gundam. It is iconic, and it is recreated beautifully with a real grade Zeong and an entry grade RX-78. So at the end of the day, the real grade Zeong is a very cool, very detailed kit with a lot more articulation than I ever thought a Zeong could have, and the wire arms are cool. However, the last shooting effects set version is really the superior option. Even if you're not that interested in the diorama display option for the last shooting, it's really great to have all these effect parts. Having the blast effects, especially for under the Zeong, having the finger beam effects. This is just kind of giving it extra flair, making it more impressive display piece. But if you don't have the room to have this more impressive display piece, you'd probably be okay with just the Zeong. So it really comes down to personal preference. Overall, I think that I'd highly recommend the complete package, but the individual Zeong itself is a very solid kit if that's all you're after. So take that information with you as you will. Now this kit is on its way out to stores in Japan and will be making its way westward in the next month or two. So keep an eye out. I know the retail price for the US is $104 USD, so it is a little bit on the high end, but you are getting a lot of stuff here. But anyways, keep an eye out for this kit if you are looking for it. It is starting to make its way out, and I definitely recommend it. So that does it for this review. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell to keep up with future uploads. I can't say that Model Kit Monday is going to be every single Monday, but I do want to make more videos on model kits. This is a hobby I genuinely love deeply, and I like talking about it. So stay tuned. There will be more Model Kit Mondays in the future. And also be sure to check out Hero Club at hero-club.com for Gunpla news and more. And if you're a Gundam fan, check out Ninja Talks Live every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, where we discuss the latest Gundam news, as well as other mecha anime and tokusatsu topics. And check out my graphic designer on Twitter at DarkClaw643. And until next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye.